Let me do the lights while we're at it.
Can you brighten up your display just so you know for us because we look super dark.
You guys are real dark again.
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, you guys are you're in the dive bar though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We just need some smoke and
Yeah. But guys, power outage right before we went live too, or initially, the power flickered like that before, and we're like, oh, thank God we weren't live for that. And then in the middle of the show, it happened.
Never acknowledge it. Just look at each other awkwardly.
No sell it, always. 100%. And then it happened now, and I looked at producer, and she looked at me, and I was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Take a drink.
No,
so everyone take a drink.
Go
ahead.
Like a month ago, power went out at work, and it was out for 90 minutes. And you know all the people, so we had to sit there and wait for 90 minutes. And we were told by somebody, one of the bosses, hey, we'll see what happens when we hit that. They're estimating this. And it was 10 minutes before that quote time, I was like, yo, what do we do in 10? As I was about to finish that sentence, lights come on, and I just look and well, damn.
Yeah. Everyone starts throwing their baseball gloves at you like the guy in Sandlot. Mm-hmm. What was his name? Ham or something? But thanks for sticking through and having a drink with us while we got back up and running. But here we are in the chat. The last thing we were talking about, Black won by using Black Mist and Fruit Roll-Up. Just in time, 211 said that. And Klump, you were about to say that you liked how it worked with the black gimmick, the Great Muda type thing. Go ahead and elaborate.
No, I think if there's one thing I think we were starting to see from Black in NXT and in Raw, or sorry, SmackDown when he was there, was that kind of depth and darkness to his character. But they didn't really go. I don't know. I feel like at times they pulled away from this kind of stuff because they felt like it was silly shit, or somebody said that's silly shit.
Yeah.
But it works when you let somebody dive into it and pull it off. He's not immediately doing it. He's taking his time to build it up. And hell yeah. I mean, he's so over the top, it works for him.
Yeah. Dorkchop does say in the chat, Excalibur called it as Black, quote, spewing the corruption from within.
Okay, fuck you, Excalibur. Thanks for ruining something good and wholesome like you do every week.
I'm going to tell you right now, the fact that Excalibur called it that really puts a damper on that making sense for me. The fact that, because Excalibur's whole thing was, this isn't the same guy I knew. I wrestled against Tommy End 25,000 years ago. This isn't him. Oh my God, it's Malachi Black. Like he tried to pull it off like it was somebody he didn't know, as exaggerated as he could. Yeah. Or he's different now, but now he sees it and goes, oh, I know what this is. That's when he starts spewing the corruption that's within. You see, he does digest and live off of evil corruption. It boils over and becomes ooze. Like, whatever. And then Dorkchop does say, so maybe Joey... Yeah. Oh, Dorkchop with the tongue twisters. He said, so maybe Cody joins House of Black or something. I don't think so. I don't think Cody's going to be willing to turn heel. I think he loves himself some Cody, as Bishop would say, too much. Bishop, or not Bishop, Klump, what were you going to
say? They leave in together, open up, and start managing a White House black market. It's a modern women's professional store. There's one at the mall.
You know who it made me think about, though? Remember Lucha Underground, how they had Draco, who had like that black, weird, slimy tongue thing?
Yeah, I fucking hated Drago because I get it, but his mask is so weird. I don't like when a guy has a rubber mask. It just looks funky to me. Like, you look like, yeah, it looked kind of gross, but which made sense. Yeah. But no,
can you imagine if he did something like that?
Yeah.
That weird black slimy tongue thing?
Yeah.
I think Black could pull it off because if you've noticed...
He just starts making out with Cody in the ring?
Yeah. Pull it out in the middle. If you've noticed, Black's face paint is getting darker in the middle and expanding out, and he went on Sean X-Pac Waltman's podcast, Pro Wrestling for Life, and mentioned that it is not meant to be a carryover at all from the WWE thing. It's not meant to come over. He just... What it really is, he liked the aesthetic of one of his eyes having a contact and being just a pupil. He just liked the way that looked, so he tried to figure out a way to make that work in the storyline. Hey. So his new character, the Malachi Black, is an infestation and that's the visualization of that infestation getting larger. So eventually, supposedly, potentially, he's going to be completely consumed by the Malachi Black character and become probably some sort of demon thing. So if he starts spitting corruption like that, that's what makes me think you could see a full-on face paint creepy thing with this weird tongue, and it's like, oh, he's been taken over completely by this demon. Then he probably pairs up with Abaddon. He's got that weird mask thing. I could see it working. For someone like him, I could see it working.
Yeah, he does it well, and it's I mean, the irony is like it's good.
Would you say that he's doing it and doing it and doing it well?
Okay. That one I don't know the reference to.
He doesn't know LL Cool J. He just said he's never heard of that. What? That's what. Yeah, he's not hip. He tells me he's hip.
The guy from NCIS.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Marky Mark, like from the burgers.
Yeah.
The burger guy.
The only like real reason as a kid that I knew LL Cool J did hip hop other than fucking VH1 classic hip hop documentaries was he random ass was in Def Jam Fight for New York, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's okay, cool. Him and Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
Oh, the 100%. guy that tries to pick a wife and doesn't get to do one every year. Good job.
Yeah, he keeps fucking it up. Bishop says the cook from Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, 100%.
Ah.
Yeah.
I love a Deep Blue Sea reference.
So good. Amanda, was there anything else in any of the Malachi Black stuff that you wanted to talk about?
No. Sorry.
I'm done with it too. If you are, Klump. Amanda, was there anything else on Dynamite you wanted to talk about before we move on to NXT? You said you were missing FTR. I think I saw a picture of them today. They're using like NWO inspired gear, and I thought that was really fucking cool.
I thought that was awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. But I think that the way they're kind of being weaved into AEW now, I'm really kind of enjoying it, and I hope they use them more.
Yes, I agree. Their presence is good, what they're doing is great. I think they're really the exception to when I say like, yeah, you guys kind of build people and they fall apart. They've stayed at this top kind of area in the tag division, which hell yeah.
All right. Good. Anything else?
Oh.
I'm ready to talk about NXT if you guys are.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
NXT.
Yeah.
NXT. NXT.
I don't know if I can chant that.
What are you talking about? Do they have a new chant? 2.0. 2.0. 2.0.
No, even that I wouldn't do.
What?
This is shit. This is shit.
Thank you.
Conflicted. Conflicted.
To be honest, I'm loving NXT 2.0 so much more than the previous NXT.
Why?
Because it makes more sense to me. You know what it is? A lot of it is you're seeing the I felt like before we were seeing a whole lot of egos. A lot of people who were, quote, doing what they do best. And I didn't see anybody trying to get better. No one tried to grow. Adam Cole's first match was just the same as his last match. There was nothing in between. Everything was exactly what it was. It was like a flat line of talent. It was a flat line of who you saw on TV. You would see somebody on TV a little bit here and there, but you saw the same couple people all the time for the past 2 years. It was really boring and stale by the end of it. I like this influx of new talent around old talent when we're seeing people grow. I can understand the idea of thinking like this doesn't feel prime time, but I like the idea. This feels a lot more like it felt like when I watched it on the network, where you felt like you were watching people develop. You were watching the next stars. You were getting attached to people like Ember Moon and saying, I can't wait to see them on the big show and see how they do. You know what I mean? Like, it was exciting to watch at that point. But
I'll give you that to an extent. I like the idea of growth because I feel like one thing that was a negative of NXT when it initially came out is they really pushed it as this third brand and it didn't quite work out.
Yes.
But I would say there are some talents that did grow even in that time. Cameron Grimes. And I know you love you some Cameron Grimes.
Oh,
What made Cameron Grimes that you love today was the Cameron Grimes of quarantine. And that was growth in matches and in story. That was very, very good. There were bright spots there.
Where was his match and story? Would you call it mid-card? Because it never got above the mid-card.
It went from being fuck all to touching main event at times. Like, it went from, like, who the fuck is this? What is this? Why is this silly guy coming back to, okay, I'm not mad at this.
It went from being fuck all to being the only reason I was still watching by the end of it. And then they had the episodes, like the last 2 episodes didn't have any Cameron Grimes or LA Knight, and I was like, I don't know if I even want to watch this show. I was getting real close to being like, hey, what did you guys think of the show? Like, I just fucking was so over it. I love that Cameron Grimes is still here doing stuff, because I do think he works in LA Knight, but like, so much of that show was riddled with people who were doing the same fucking shit forever. And how much of NXT became, yeah, but what were they could never leave. Oh, yeah, but what would happen to them on the main roster? It became, yeah, you should, and Adam Cole should leave the organization because this is the peak of his career here. He'll never do better on the main roster. That is not the idea of a developmental or even third brand. You don't watch SmackDown and say, yeah, Roman could never hang on Raw. You don't watch Raw and say, like, oh, yeah, Matt Riddle should never be on SmackDown. If it's truly a third brand, you should find them interchangeable in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
I get you.
It felt isolated, it felt indie, and it felt stale. This feels new with a ton of potential and badasses coming out that we've never seen. I love the amount of massive new talent trying things out. And fucking some of them are failing and some of them aren't. I love that part of it. That to me is exciting to watch. And this looks and feels different than every other show we're watching.
Okay, I'll give you some of that. I will say this. So I'm going to give you an initial positive.
Mm-hmm.
I felt this was better than last week by a lot. Because it did feel like, okay, we're continuing this message. Last week was rough, and I missed my spot, and I'm pissed that I got better this week because I didn't get to tell you to I didn't get to demand that you defend this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the chance to do that, and I fucking gave it up.
You missed it.
This week is a lot better than last week to me because, yeah, they were continuing that. They were still building that, and that made me happy to see.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I still think it's got some room to grow. And
Sure.
I think it's hard. Well, and I think it's also, you can't throw away everything from the last iteration because there's were parts of it that were very good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they didn't. They made Ciampa their champion as the holdover, as the guy to say, not only is he our champion, but he's our new benchmark. All these other guys who are just showing up out of nowhere have to build themselves up to be tested by Ciampa. He's final boss. Like, it's fantastic. They didn't get rid of everything. I mean, we got LA Knight out there in the scene. We got, was it Cameron Grimes came out? Every single match in the past 2 weeks has been one person we've pretty much never heard of against someone that we've known for quite some time.
That is fair.
And that's what I find exciting about it. They're not even all good matches. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm super invested in every story. I'm not. I'm not super invested in every character. No. This feels to me like I was like watching NWA. When I first started watching NWA Power, it was like, here's a bunch of people that I know a couple of them. I don't know a lot of them. I don't know why I should give too many shits about this person or that, but we're getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it takes a while. It's going to be a few months, I think, before we go, oh my God, it can't miss this storyline. This is the best storyline. You know what I mean? That's going to happen in time. Right now, it's just all like, well, this is exciting and new. This is different.
Yeah.
You know, is it boring? I'm not finding it boring. If you're finding it boring, then that's one thing. But if it's at least like interesting.
I will say, and while we were out, and this goes into the opening segment, so we'll start there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this. I would say they have their first fuck up and like flat landing, and it went south.
The opening segment with Ciampa?
That and Joe Gacy throughout the show.
Joe Gacy, yeah, he flopped pretty hard.
Yeah, you can't find his shit online. WWE pulled, and like if you look up, like I was looking on while we were talking, searching up, like they'll have like links to WWE video of it, and they go to bad gateways.
Yeah.
Which like they changed that up, so that, and
Yeah, total failure. Absolutely.
Yeah, did it shitty, and it landed like a wet fart, and like I feel alienating and like a little bit offended. Like I was just like, this is kind of like, you're not even doing being a liberal dick right. And it's also like, I think in today's time, and I'm not saying this to be like a prissy little snowflake, but I mean, the way that it lands, it's so basic. It to me further, it cool. My uncle who likes Fox News loves it.
Funny.
But there's no depth to it.
None. But that's what the impression I was getting out of it, because I watched it twice because a bunch of people were talking about how he was a heel, and I was like, you know what? I didn't really catch him as a heel the first time. Let me rewatch it, because I really felt like he was just almost static. Like he was just a dude saying this stuff, and I didn't feel one way or the other about it. It just seemed pretty generic. But it really boiled down to, it just didn't come off as sincere, which I think was, I felt as I dismissed it as it's someone trying to figure out what the fuck this character is and how to flesh it out. But I think that realistically, it was likely more of a character building step, where he was trying to basically be a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? The reason he was doing it all wrong and terribly was because probably him as a person, but mostly the character didn't believe or buy into any of it and was trying to portray something he's just clearly not at all, which isn't tremendous. It's not the kind of thing where you go, this has a lot of legs to it. You watch it, you go, you know what, this isn't going to work. This is shitty. Let's drop it. And they did. But I can understand the character as far as like, how would someone pretend to be that? What might they say? What might they act like? Like, it's probably close to it, but where are you going to go with that that's not going to just end up in some bullshit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad they dropped it.
Yes.
But I wasn't, like, offended.
Yeah, and to me, it does, like, as an loud, annoying liberal asshole, I think there's better ways to be a loud, annoying liberal asshole.
Yeah, but that's just it, is I didn't get the impression he was trying to be a liberal asshole. I got the impression he was trying to be a guy pretending to be a liberal asshole.
Well, and I feel like, and I get that too. I feel like
that
was just, it was a person told to do this who isn't invested in it. Just like, I'm just going to throw all this out. Okay.
I mean, I could just be shitting acting that I read too much into as well.
Yes. That's what I think. Is like, whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't delivered very well. And to me, it kind of came off like really bizarre.
Yeah.
It's already right now for me, the show is already kind of bizarre, because it's like, okay, we're 2.0 now. And what's happening with a lot of people? Like now, Thatcher, where's Thatcher? Where's he going? You know, and it makes me question a lot of people, like what purpose does, you know, LA Knight have, or, you know, Pete Dunne? I mean, it, you know, Kyle O'Reilly, I'm like, I guess maybe that hipster thing works now. I don't know. But it just brings a lot of questions up of, well, what can you do with Cameron Grimes now? Because it just seems kind of weird. And even Legata El Fantasma, I mean, yes, you put a woman in and there's this whole hit row thing. Hit row. But even then, it's like, it just felt very jumbled. And then guess what we get next week? We get the freaking honeymoon of Dexter in Indy. I don't want that. Can we please? And then Beth is all, oh my God. No. This is like insulting to me as a person. I'm like, no.
Yeah, the wedding thing, I can't stand any of the wedding stuff. They did a whole wedding montage thing, and I kind of just turned down the volume and did other stuff. So I didn't catch that they're doing a honeymoon next week. So I will definitely not be listening to that either.
Beth was so excited into it. She was trying to convince everybody. And I will say this, all I know with Stu, Wade, whatever, he was just like, nope, not having it. And you could tell that was not acting. He is really not having it at all.
Are they gonna consummate it?
Oh God, I don't know. Ew, I don't want to know that. Ew.
You know what they should do is Gargano should walk into the hotel and go, oh my God, and run out, and then it should cut to him and he should have his hair up like Something About Mary.
No.
Or Gargano accidentally walks in the hotel room and you just see him fall back with an axe in his fucking head, and we just never see Gargano again.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, and then the other thing I don't like about the new NXT. Okay, I know you were like, oh, it doesn't look like a big budget indie. Actually, to be quite honest, this new look looks
low
like
budget indie.
Well, no, like things like SW in Vegas and Ring of Honor to certain extents. You know, I mean, it's yeah, and all the bright colors in the background is very distracting to me.
Looks kind of like Impact. It does look kind of like Impact, but to me, it doesn't look like a big VFW show. It looks like a small WWE show.
But
and that's what I mean.
I don't think that the last NXT, I don't think it looked like, you know, a VFW hall at all. If there's anything, I think no, I don't think so. No, have you been to some of these VFW halls? Oh, let me tell you. Yeah, no. They're well, no, some are pretty clean, but you know, people are smelly. It's hot. Usually there's no air conditioning, you know, I mean, that kind of shit. But you know that when you hit that hall, that you're going to see some pretty damn decent to great wrestling. That's all you knew, unless you're in the middle of nowhere and they don't know what they're doing. But for the most part, and I think
you definitely don't get that feeling when you go to the VFW shows here. I'll be honest.
Well, you've not been to really good ones. I mean, I'm spoiled. Yes, Reseda. I mean, you know, the American Legion out in Baldwin Park. You know, but I mean, still, it's one of those things where I think that it doesn't have that feeling at all. It's just more of now it seems like the people who are normally those regular people, it's more spread out. So you're not seeing it being dominated by a certain crowd. Because remember when they were booing MSK?
Yeah. 100%. I do think that those crowds have been spread out that way too, and I like that. I feel like the crowd is more receptive to what they're getting. I want to hit the chat real quick just because there's a few things going on in there. Bishop does say NXT is amazing. Jeremy in Time says Braun Breaker is quickly becoming a must-watch guy. He has looked fantastic his first two matches and his promos, if I'm being honest. Let's see. X Zari 31 says he is fun to watch, and Bishop does say it feels like a choose your own adventure story. You pick a new guy and watch how they grow. I think that's true too. Like, you're gonna find your favorites and be like, this is my dude. When I was watching it when it was on the network, because before Adam Cole got there, I watched like the 2 years, never missed an episode before it. A month into Adam Cole being there, I stopped watching it altogether. I was like, no, I'll only watch the pay-per-views, like, because it became that it was no longer. There was always someone who I was watching because of one person or two person. There was like a woman and a guy that I would always be like, those are the two I'm focusing on. I'm watching. I can't wait to see what they're doing. And I'll see what the other people are up to too. So I agree with that. You're picking the people you're rooting for, you know?
I don't know. Did it feel hokey to you? It felt like the show was very hokey. Like the storylines that they're kind of developing, I thought it was hokey.
It felt to me like they're throwing stuff against the wall to just figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, you should know by now, you know, you've only had this brand for what, I don't remember how long, but you know, you should know by now what that kind of audience was more receptive to, you know?
Yeah, but that's not what they're doing. They're no longer trying to cater to that audience. They're actually trying to probably shake that audience loose. They're not trying to be that NXT. The whole 2.0 thing is to to basically shake off, from what I can tell, shake off the audience that is looking for the AEW style matches. Let them go to AEW and just bring in the people who are WWE style fans, want to see that stuff progress and learn. Like I said, this isn't going to be must-watch, can't-miss TV anymore, I don't think. For those people who love Adam Cole, it was you can't miss Adam Cole. This is going to be tune in and watch how these people grow and become something, and then when they're on the main roster, you're going to love them because they're going to be your guy from the beginning. Well, I don't get the impression at all that they give a shit about the old audience.
Well, you know, some of the people...
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, because some of the people that they've plucked, there's no spot for them on the main roster. Where are they going to go? Kushida going to 205 Live, you know, and I'm like, come on. I mean... just stuff like that. And just kind of, for me, is it's kind of a bummer, because they did this whole thing where they pretty much took the indies and basically, for lack of a better term, they ravaged and raped it. And yes, we have a lot of things that are back. I think the only good thing that really has come of that is the rise of GCW,
right?
And how great it is. And I think,
but they failed. They did that and failed, so they're trying to get the stink of that off of them. They brought in a shitload of indie talent, and the shows did not do well, and the brand did terribly, and it didn't produce stars. It produced an animosity between NXT fans and main roster fans. That is not what a company wants, even in a third brand.
When you're touring little shithole places just in Florida, and you're not expanding yourself and trying to go to other places, yeah, that shit's going to happen, because they're going to say the same old people, fucking the same old bullshit every show. Like, this is what do they call it? The coconut loop or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so stupid. It's like, come on. It's like,
no,
you really
because you're thinking of NXT like AEW, and this isn't like AEW.
No,
NXT is not designed to ever be like AEW. They don't want to be touring. The idea of the coconut loop is to get those those wrestlers used to being in front of small crowds and working stuff out before they're TV ready. Then they get on TV and they're in front of those crowds.
A lot of them did that.
Yeah.
Some of these indies that were out there, like, you cannot tell me that like an AEW in Chicago or AEW in Cleveland, you can't tell me that these guys are like, oh, they're working small places to try to get ready. No, because obviously there was something that they liked and they signed them away. So, I mean, I don't know.
Because at the time they were trying to create that void of the indie style wrestling on TV, little did they know Tony Khan was building his own little indie empire and made it a way that's successful and has reached out to those fans and has grabbed them. NXT became void, became invalid once AEW became successful. So NXT had to change or disappear, and so it changed. Let's go back to being what it is.
I can argue with that, because Ring of Honor, before AEW was ever around, Ring of Honor, that was pretty much an indie. Right there.
It was, and it was not as successful as AEW.
Well, no, but I'm not putting them in that same category. I'm like, against NXT. Yeah, it's comparable, but
that's why NXT was successful until AEW. Takeovers were successful.
Yeah.
AEW came around and it destroyed NXT. Realistically.
Well, yeah, because he's dealing with someone who has a lot of money.
Yeah.
And ROH isn't like that anymore. I mean, the money 100%. That was there, it's gone. Yeah.
And that's what WWE's doing, is they're saying, all right, well, we tried all that indie stuff. Here's another dude with billions of dollars who are going to continue to push that way and catch those fans. Instead of trying to figure out if we can get those same fans, just release it. Release those talents that we picked up strictly because they were indie popular. Let them go to AEW. Let them go to Ring of Honor. Let them go to MLW. Let that go back to being what it was. Let's go back to NXT being what it was before it was the indie show, the alternative to the main roster style thing, and say, no, let's make this a small main roster style, so when people get to the main roster, you no longer have NXT fans saying, I have all my favorites, I hope they never end up on a bigger show with bigger paychecks. You know what I mean? Now you can have people like Braun Breaker, who people see him and go, yep, that guy can be in WrestleMania. At some point, he's going to be in WrestleMania. Instead of getting guys like Adam Cole, where they said, yep, he's our guy, he's our number one, I want him to be champ forever, but I hope he never leaves NXT. They're done with that. They're over that. And that's what 2.0 is, and that's why they've made it very clear in their graphics and everything. Do not think of this NXT as the NXT before. The reason it's 2.0 not 4 or 5.0 is because all those other iterations had all of those other different versions of small indie stuff. This is trying to be small WWE stuff. They have split the line. This is different. We're not yellow and black anymore. All of that was a failed experiment. We're doing a whole new experiment.
Maybe that's why I don't enjoy it as much, because I don't enjoy the WWE program.
I had a feeling. To be honest, when I first saw it, I thought, I don't think Amanda's going to like this very much. And I also thought, I think Kevlar's going to like it a lot. And he did. Which I think makes things interesting for us. It's going to make things very confusing on our show. We're going to figure out what we're doing.
No, I know. There'll be what the heck is going on here? But I will say this. The two positives out of it, because I don't want to shit on it completely. I really do like what Mandy's doing with Gigi and what's her bucket.
Yeah,
The
Toxic Attraction.
Toxic Attraction is they have me. I love it.
They all cut promos and did a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Believable.
I really like what they're doing. I like their music too. The way that they stole that Mandy, which I always thought was so stupid, and turned it into Toxic and then Rock. I was like, fuck, that works.
Yeah. No. I'm so impressed. And the other thing that was very impressive too is they're reminding you, hey, we have women's tag belts too.
Yep.
Don't forget. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. So that, and again, I do like Legato El Fantasma and having a woman who's very powerful, and actually I thought she was very good on the mic. It just makes them even more solid. So if they ever, or when they go up to the main roster, I think that's a faction really to be reckoned with.
I think so too, and I also think that Hit Row is becoming that tight and good. And I think BFAB's got some ways to go, but I like that those are the rivalries that are happening. Two literal factions of I think what's happening there is great. It's not perfect, and it's got a lot of room to grow on both factions, Phantasma and Hit Row. But I do think that they're tightening up, and they're going to get to a spot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I will say this: Odyssey Jones, man,
he's so good.
I like Odyssey Jones. I don't know why. I just really do. And whatchamacallit, I'm like really like, I don't know. I'm like not liking all of a sudden. What's his? I only know his original name.
Carmelo?
Oh yeah, Carmelo. Thank you.
Yeah. His shifting character has been weird for me too.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with MSK, but I think they'll be a good fit in NXT 2.0. I wonder if one of them got injured again. I kind of feel like
I think so. I think one of them. I think Wesley is injured.
Yeah. Bishop does say, Klump, it's better because, well, I mean, this is opinion, obviously. It goes, it's better because you are watching it grow. It will take many more steps forward than steps back. And I do agree with that concept, too, just in that we're watching a thing that's got issues, but its whole intent its whole design is to be rough around the edges and try and get better as they go. Like I love the fact that the Joey Gacy or John Gacy, I don't know his name, but it's really close to fucking John Wayne Gacy. But I really like that you tried something. Right?
I wonder, was that the intent?
Maybe.
That'd be so fucking cool if he came out as Joe W. Gacy and his gimmick was like kind of this like political actor that's trying to show up, but then he comes in, he's got like blood on his hands and stuff like that, and young audience members go missing from shows. We just give them shirts and back and stuff like that, but we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
And we'll blame it on Dexter.
Yeah.
He keeps following Leon Ruff around and like a lot of the 205 people.
Yeah. The fuck? I do, but I love that he went out there and tried a thing, did absolutely terrible with it, and they fucking cut it loose and said, we're not doing that. Like, that's good. You know what I mean? Like, try it. See what happens. And if it fails, recognize that. A lot of times these companies will lock into something, failure or not, and just say, run it to the ground. Do what you can. You know what I mean? Like, I like that they're trying stuff. And I like that something clearly fell flat on its face right in front of us, and then they went, yep, pull it all down. We don't want that even in our legacy. Like, good. Well, you know what I mean? That shows something.
They still have Scotty Goldman in there, so just saying.
Yeah, he's terrible.
We don't reference Scotty Goldman.
That's a good point.
That's something we don't reference here. And I know Colt's a nice guy. We don't reference Scott Goldman.
He doesn't like being referenced as Scotty Goldman.
Good, good.
I don't know if Hollywood Dork Chop's still in the chat, but thank you for the sub. Appreciate you, my guy. Jeremy in Time does say NXT was always supposed to be developmental. It changed once WWE started signing indie wrestlers, and that's why I think that's kind of what I was saying is I think those were intentionally the same time. I think they wanted to change. I think they wanted to go for the indies. I think they wanted to do basically. I think they wanted to do more or less what AEW's doing, but AEW got there just in time to swoop it all underneath them and run with it the other direction, and has the whole fan base that hates everything Vince McMahon does anyways, and were able to scoop up extra fans along the way. But I think that was the idea, that before AEW, they were trying to fill that niche, that need that AEW is providing. And that's when it started signing all those indie wrestlers. Let's get all these dudes and get them out there, get them seen by more people. And ultimately AEW came in and said, we can do it, but also probably get more people and bigger, like we could do more with it too. And then
They were
it's
t-shirt
fucking
companies.
working over there. It's working for AEW. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it did make NXT say, all right, well, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work, and it's not worth trying to keep up. Then Jeremy says, the wrestlers like Cole or Gargano, you could argue, don't need developing. They've transitioned NXT to people who legitimately need developing, which will make it easier to develop them into WWE mold and avoid any sort of egos that some of the indie wrestlers clearly had. And I think that's true, too. I do agree with that. And GR Lunar says, hey, gang, cheers. Cheers to GR Lunar.
Wait, which people are you saying? You cannot throw tea out there and not say.
The egos?
What?
Well, like Undisputed Era came in very much with this ego of
cool.
This is our thing.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That's cool. I mean, the one person, and I still will harp on this, is the one person that they moved way too early is Ricochet. I'm sorry, he still sucks on the mic, man. I mean, he's amazing, but his mic skills, woo.
Well, you haven't been watching him lately. The last number of promos he cut were very, very good. And he was
Really?
doing
I'll
really
have to
great
watch.
promo work with Mustafa Ali, and Ricochet had a series. I mean, this is what it is, but it had a series of matches. I think it was 4 matches on main event, and they were doing their video promos at each other on their Twitter, and they were fantastic. He did an awesome job.
I'll have to look it up because I don't know.
But he's solid. He just needs a decent story and a believable cast with him, more or less. So I do think Ricochet's gonna. I think his time will come. But yeah, he was somebody they moved out of NXT way too soon, for sure. And you could see it with his stuff with AJ. It was glaring. But that's just it. Is like they moved him probably because there was just no room for him there. They needed him up, and when he got there, it was like, oh yeah, we haven't been developing at all. We were just hoping to use him the way that the Indies would have used him. You know what I mean? Like, fuck.
Yeah, that's how I feel about AEW. There's no room for a lot of people, but you're showing the same people over and over again. That's my issue that I'm having with it.
I do wonder, though, and we won't break down this card every single thing, so we're all going to jump around to things we liked and didn't like. But I do wonder when I think about the old-timers that are there, like you said, where do some of these people go? Where does the Ciampa go? Where does an LA Knight go? I do wonder if their intent is not to go. I do wonder. I mean, you're talking about people who are in their 40s. LA Knight's 39. Ciampa's like, actually, I think he's like 36, 37.
Yeah, he looks old.
Yeah. Yeah. But Ciampa's even said he does not want to tour. He does not want to go on the road full time. He wants NXT to be his last stop. And I think that if he were to be put in a position where, hey, you either shit or get off the pot, he's getting off the pot. And I think that the idea is that he'd rather be a coach than be a touring wrestler. But he's also so good that you can utilize him to be an actively functional wrestling coach. Like, this isn't just... I mean, absolutely no disrespect whatsoever, but this isn't like TJ Wilson doing half moves with guys in a training ring because he knows how to do the moves but still has to be careful. I mean, and I don't know the state of him. He might be 100% and just still not wanting to wrestle. I don't know, and I'm not trying to speak for him or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, the guys who can go who end up having to close up early, they don't wrestle the same way in there, right? They're all backstage. He's someone that can help them on TV in real time. Get through those things and still be coaching the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, that is awesome. That is a multifaceted teacher.
Yeah, that's like.
But maybe that's the idea. I mean, does LA Knight really want to? Does LA Knight at this point want to try and get to WrestleMania? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe LA Knight wanted this contract to get into the company to roll into a coaching position because he is that damn good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I think time will tell.
I can see Ciampa is filling that role that I think they wanted Chris Hero to fill.
Yes.
Or Cassius Ohno for those.
Yes.
But
and I think that that's a great choice with, Ciampa. I'm not, I love Chris Hero. I mean, that guy's a walking like dictionary of encyclopedia of like wrestling. And, sucks, but hopefully we can see him out there again.
I feel like, I agree in that Ciampa is, I feel like, that he's at Chris Hero, but they're building him the right way. As much we heard so many things about how Chris Hero wasn't like appreciated or and stuff like that, or I don't think he was the right person for it. And it could have been built. It could have been difficult to overcome because essentially you made him the stepping stone literally at one point in his career, but then to be beaten. And he always looked great in the matches, which is rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's Chomp on this role. You need to have that person who's going to be the stepping stone, be the person to move up, be the top, be actually important, be a person who can win, be a person who has meaning. And you got to start that by having him hold a belt for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that you can either have someone being a stepping stone on the bottom or on the top, and it means a lot more when the stepping stone is on the top, because where does that mean you go from there? You know what I mean? Like higher up. So if you have somebody who seems like the intro jobber in everyone's preliminary matches, when they get that win, you go, oh, that's cool. You made it past the first thing. You know what I mean? Like, but when you get to somebody who's going to end up in a match with Ciampa, if they catch that win over Ciampa, you go, God damn, this guy's somebody to watch. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I agree. I do think, and that's what I wonder. As much as, I mean, I don't think it's a secret. LA Knight's one of my top guys right now. I want to see him in the main event at WrestleMania. I think that dude could go for years longer, and I think of him the way I think of AJ Styles. I think they could go a long time at a high level. And that's what I want for him. But if it's not what he wants for him, then that's different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just don't know. But I think it's interesting to watch at this point. But I do think, like I said, I don't think the episodic TV stuff's going to be quite the same. What do you think of Braun Breaker, Klump?
I like him. I still think the name's a little bit silly. I liked Rex Steiner more. But
yeah.
And I feel like it's only a matter of time before we get more information. You know, we're already playing into he's a Steiner.
Yes, they've called. They said he has was it Vic Joseph said last week that was a real dog-faced gremlin kind of thing or something like that. You're like, oh,
yeah.
He tried to finish the match with a Steiner recliner yesterday, which was great. Yeah, like it's a good call out to your family. I liked it. His moveset is that he's got the look and he's damn good. Yeah. I think he's better on the mic than any of them, and he's young.
Yeah.
I know that's early to say and that's rough, but he's better on the mic than Scott and Rick.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? Jim Neidhart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy intensity.
He's like Mojo Rawley, but with more skill. And I'm not saying this shit. That's backhanded as fuck, but yeah.
It is, but I mean, it's also to me like a bit unfortunate that we just lost Mojo, not like dead, but he got fired, because I do think that as big of a flop as, right? I do think of it as in that way where it's all like, man, if Mojo could redo it now as the Hype Bros with Braun Breaker, that shit would work. Those two dudes would work together. And Zach and Mojo did not work great together. They were fine. They weren't utter garbage, but there was something that didn't click, and I was like, I just don't see how Braun Breaker and Mojo Styles or Mojo Rawley could not have made that work on such a high level. So it's just to me kind of a shame. It's like, man, if you could go back and redo something, I'd redo Hype Bros with Breaker and Mojo. You know what I mean? But do you really want to do it 2.0? No. But you know what I mean?
He makes me think of Otis, but the idea of Otis further advancing.
Yes.
Like he makes me think of, like, you almost look at Otis and him and you're like, huh, is Otis the caricature of him?
Yeah.
Because it's a very similar silliness, aggression, action, and excitability. But, oh shit, you can actually talk. Oh. Yeah. You know, like, you can put it together. And I'm not knocking Otis in that. I want Otis to do better.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And so there was this rumor going around that Vince wants NXT to be edgier, which I don't know, maybe not. But I did notice that in Breaker's promo, he did get a little bit ultra masculine when he said, "Stop being a little bitch, grow a pair, and let's have a match." And I was like, God damn, like,
yeah, I was. that and the Joe Gacy thing together. I'm like, okay, did somebody get really frustrated at MSNBC today?
Yeah. I was like,
what
God.
did Biden do that upset you today, Vince?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I was sitting there going like, did he just pop off or do they know he was going to say that? Because that one could go either way, I think.
Yeah.
But it worked and didn't get bleeped. And I was like, well, fuck. And then I was ready for the match. The match was fucking fantastic in my book. Amanda, what do you think about Breaker?
You know, I really kind of like what they're doing with it. Name? No. Because I think of Beaker.
Yeah.
Braun Beaker.
Yeah, no. But I really, that's kind of refreshing because that's a way that you're bringing someone who's new, kind of grooming them. He's under, you know, Ciampa's wing and everything right now. So I'm kind of liking that. That's how I think, you know, some people should be developed that way because then it makes me invested.
Yeah.
I think he's a shining example of it. Lunar said to me privately in chat as a joke, I'm sure you won't mind, but he said NXT 2.0, he goes, with all these colors and the swirls, he goes, I'm pretty sure the whole thing's based around Braun Breaker. Like, kind of, yeah. It feels that way. You look at his gear and you're like, he blends right the fuck in. Like, this is your guy.
It's a little loud.
Yeah.
It's I was like, did they just build like this is just him? Like, this is your show. We're just gonna do that because it's gonna be weird when he goes away.
Then they'll just change it to someone else. They'll find a new person to wear neon.
And it's impressive to find camouflage for this color palette. Good job, Braun.
No, it's not that hard. I have pink camo with that's like metallic. Not that hard.
Right. Well,
I think
you made
like
an idiot.
No, I think what you got to do is take that pink camo and then like just fill your ass full of just like 20 paints. Just fire it at it. There you go.
There's that.
That's
also with pink camo. What are you blending into?
No, there's no point. Like the Pink Panther, I don't know. I mean, but that's not the point of the pink camo.
All
They're
right.
damn leggings. They're leggings. There's no point to it.
All right.
They just look cool because, you know, even if there were some pink things I can, you know, blend in with, like, I don't know, cherry blossoms or whatever, it's metallic material. That's not designed for that.
Well, my thing with the Braun Breaker, my biggest problem with Braun Breaker is his first name is Braun. It's real close to Bronson, and we just lost Braun Strowman. Like, if either of those guys were to ever get signed again, like, we're in a weird spot, right? Because you don't want to have too many people with the same name. That's one of the reasons why they change names as it is. So you don't got 67 Pete's on the fucking card. But the Braun bothered me more than the Breaker. The Breaker is weird just because he's so clearly a Steiner in every way that you're like, that's weird. But it's also, to me, not like this massive deal breaker where it's like, well, that's the end of his career. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess he's trying to do his own thing and not be a Steiner. And then you go out there and watch him and you go like, I don't know, he's really being a Steiner. So it does create a little bit of a weirdness that I think will probably eventually be addressed one way or the other. But the Braun bothers me because that's, I don't know, as much as like we've harped on some people's segments not working here and there, everyone who has been let go from WWE, there's a part of me that wants to see them all back in WWE at some point. There's almost nobody that you see get released, apart from people who get released for some pretty shitty reasons, that there's a part of me that just wants to see them back at some point. I hope they come back. You know what I mean? And like the other day I was looking at the WWE shop clearance section and all of Bray Wyatt stuff was on there. And I was like, this is fucking heartbreaking. Just put it back up on full price. Just don't make me have to accept this, you know?
Yeah.
But the Braun part, that bothered me a lot because I was like, well, fuck. But, yeah, Breaker's a little bit weird. But I don't think it's like, I don't think it's ultimately that important. He's such a big character and he's so good that it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and like you said, it's not like they're completely trying to hide the fact he's a Steiner either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's using a Steiner recliner. They're saying Dogface Gremlin. He fucking does math. Like, he's doing what they do.
Weird ass singlet.
Weird ass singlet, yeah.
Yeah.
That weird gator roll type thing that he did, I feel like that's something that the Steiners have done. I feel like that was a Rick Steiner thing.
It did. I think it was a Rick Steiner thing, but
yeah,
it
looked dope.
Yeah.
Let's see. Diamond Mine. I'll be honest. The addition what's her name, Isla Niles, I really liked. It actually made the team a little bit more interesting to me having a woman in it. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, and she looks like a badass. She was in that She was in some sort of a strongman type show a while back, but I'm starting to enjoy that a little bit more. I think Roddy Strong is, I don't know, just a part of it, but like the people around him, I'm starting to like. Do you have any feeling about it one way or the other, Klump?
He looks like a knockoff CM Punk.
Oh, 100% Roddy. But what about the girl?
Yeah, I'm like,
Isla.
awesome, great. I find it really depressing that it seems like the Diamond Mine's goal is to take Broderick Strong and literally put all these other people in that already seem so much more interesting and passionate and better than him.
Well, see, that's what I mean. Like, when I think about these guys, like, where does Roddy go from here? Maybe Roddy doesn't go anywhere from here. Maybe he's now their in-ring coach. Maybe he works with these guys realistically, honestly, on getting them match ready in this thing. You know what I mean? Like, are they TV match ready or not? Because Roddy is. He can do the matches, and his matches look fantastic. It's the character stuff that's not great, but maybe that's why you have Malcolm Bivens there. Maybe these teams are a lot more strategic than we think for development and not for overall success of every individual member. Like when you think about Nation of Domination, it was constructed strictly to get Ron Simmons over as Farouk. Then when they realized they could throw The Rock in here, the whole shift of it went to be completely specifically constructed to get The Rock popular. It wasn't meant to get everyone in the main event. It was meant to get The Rock into the main event. So maybe... Go ahead.
I'd like to imagine D'Lo Brown's listening to this and just slowly looks down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fuck? Yeah.
Man.
I mean, but everyone did their parts to get there, and I think that everyone did an amazing job there. And that's why I think that some of these factions are like that. Like this, to me, doesn't feel like it's meant to get Roddy into the main event. It's meant to get these people onto SmackDown. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Which to me is fun to watch. Kylie Ray had a good match. Dante Chen. Oh yeah, they got the new guy. He was from Singapore. That was neat. Good match. I thought that was cool, but you know, and it was just one of those things too, where it's just like, oh, here's our first person we've ever signed from Singapore. No, I'm not super invested. No, I don't think this is like the big thing, but it is. Those are the moments that I like about NXT 2.0.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a talent from a country we've never really seen a talent from. Here's a match with him against a really good wrestler who's been doing this a long time, like Trey Baxter.
Yeah.
Cool. Like
Now
these
watch
are
him
the cool
fuck him up.
moments. Yeah, watch him fuck him up. But Trey's obviously in there to help Dante. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say the two vignettes really, really done with both characters already. Could not give a fuck about Chicago guy. Find him more and more annoying. Specifically,
Tony?
fake gold jewelry doesn't help. And yes, I know you're gonna say, yeah, but he's supposed to be like, they don't have real gold jewelry. I don't care. It looks super shitty.
Yeah,
And the Rolex, which is a Seiko 5 in gold, looks like shit too. Yeah,
Dude,
I looked
I
up what
think-
the watch was. Yes, I know what the watch is. Yes, it's dog shit. It cost $170.
Nice. One of the fancy ones, dude.
And
I love
fucking,
he's got that.
What's his face? The weird Japanese guy with loud jackets.
Oh,
yeah.
Jiro.
Yeah, I was like, man, if you did this before that dipshit wedding thing, I might be okay with you. But having had to watch your ass exist in that god awful wedding while other people who have made money for this company, who've been here for a while, just awkwardly stare at you, I'm sure in their mind thinking, this is an interesting way to make a couple $100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I don't think those vignettes made them. When I first saw the first Tony vignette, I was like, I don't think it's gonna last all that long. Like, we'll see how this plays out, but I don't think it's gonna be this for a while. And I like the idea that you found out his watch is $170 because his first promo was like, where the real money here is right here in NXT. Look at my $100 watch.
Yep.
Real money.
Fucking Cameron Grimes does shitty money better. Like
Yes, he does.
still love him coming out with the gaudy ass real Rolex with the shit like all aftermarket modifications that make it worth less but look more expensive to somebody who doesn't know shit about money.
100%.
Oh, it's got diamonds on it. Yes, but that makes it worth half of what you paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not dying to see Tony in the ring. I'm not like, I can't wait for this one. I see the segments, I go, it's funny, but not funny in the way you guys think it's funny. You know what I mean? Like,
This is
funny.
sad.
That's what he's trying. All right, give it a go. I
Yeah.
guess we'll see how it goes. But it's like Bishop was saying before. It's a choose your own adventure. I watch it and I get drawn into Braun Breaker. I get drawn into Toxic Attraction. I get drawn into Odyssey Jones. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of talent on here that you just go, okay, yeah, well, maybe something in down the line. And
Yeah.
Tony is definitely one of those things where it goes, he's definitely putting a lot of effort into his character. I do think there's something to be said for that. I don't know that this is going to be his what do they call it in Pokemon, his final form. But I do think that whenever he finally does break through, he's going to be so invested in it and so in that it's going to do really well. I just don't
I'm
think
sure
this is it.
I'm sure there's a guy somewhere who's got like a signed picture by signed picture of James Gandolfini and a signed picture of Mike Ditka, who looks at Chicago guy and is just, I'm ready, I'm waiting, I'm pumped. He's got cigars bought and ready for that match.
That's my guy.
This is my adventure. I'm choosing it. We're going for it.
I feel like this is mainstream Eddie Kingston, but tougher.
No. Leave Eddie alone.
He's gonna slap every hair off your damn body.
No shit.
All I got to do is
Poor
throw out
Eddie.
one fucking black cat and he's going to crumble like a little kid and pass out and go, oh my God, it's just like prison. A couple of
Eddie,
sparklers
wasn't
on my phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't his fault there were sparklers. He didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, he startles really easy now, Klump. I'm not really scared anymore.
I truly wish there was a mic, like you know when they mic NFL players and you occasionally have that moment where
Mic
they
the
go, oh
wrestlers.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I would love a mic to be there with John, with Moxley and him, and just be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
You know, I
What the fuck
turned down a coaching role in WWE for this shit. Are you fucking kidding me?
He's just all like, fuck, what do I do? I don't fucking know. I'm just not going to move. That's probably better.
You know, we're gonna have to sell this shit for weeks. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's like-
Or just
I am
get up
well
and leave.
aware.
I don't know. They really didn't want us to.
You know,
That will forever be.
HVK took a punt a couple weeks ago and rolled out of the ring. What do? Sell it. Just sell it.
Yeah, just sell it. Just sell the shit out of it. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot of it for those reasons. Like the idea of seeing these people get better, seeing them grow, understanding what it is, being able to pull back a little bit from it. Because before, NXT as this third brand was seen like, is this the best wrestling in the world? Like, is this a thing? Should everyone, you know what I mean? Like, it really felt like a standalone island. This is back to feeling like, no, this is part of the bigger scheme. This is part of the bigger picture. I mean, think about it even with guys like Karrion Kross. Remember the first time I saw him, I was like, I don't understand why he's here. He doesn't belong in NXT. He belongs on the main roster. Like, he felt so dramatically different. Where if he were to show up here, it'd be like, oh, this is great. They're going to fine-tune Karrion Kross. It didn't feel like fine-tuning. It didn't feel like a finishing school by the end of the last version of NXT. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So seeing something here, it's like, okay, you see something that's bad and you don't think like, oh my God, I'm going to have to see this for 6 months. You see something that's bad and go, well, maybe they'll drop that too. You know, like, is that the end of the world on this one? Like, it's just, you know, that's why I like it. That's why because I'm having fun watching it. Not because it's the most compelling television I've seen all week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe one of the stories
That's
will
tomorrow.
be. Maybe.
That's
I do agree
tomorrow.
with you, though. I don't know what's going on with
Maybe.
Thatcher.
Yeah, I don't know. But when I say tomorrow, it's going on tomorrow because of Rampage. I'm only really
I don't-
invested in one match.
I don't watch Rampage.
Come on, you need to watch it. Shout out to True Willie Hobbs out on Twitter.
That's a good point. Hobbs is a good one. Hobbs is a good guy.
I'd really like Timothy Thatcher to come back with like a perfect set of like the most
Veneers?
amazingly like overdone pearly white.
Oh
Fucking
no.
It's
No,
just
his
like
hair-
you can't do
like
that.
glint.
No.
Dude, like come back looking like a Mormon missionary, just hair slicked down and combed to the side, perfect
No.
teeth,
Tooth-
a tie and a
Toothful
suit.
Timmy.
Toothful Timmy.
No. That's the allure of damn Toothless Timmy. God, no.
He just turns the all the emotions down. He just got this like kind of nice like assistant manager smirk. I'm like,
Oh
hey,
God,
what's
no,
going on?
no, that's
So
an
funny.
adventure I'm not choosing.
Wrestles and doctors.
Oh no, don't. Oh no, just
Docker
make the guy
shorts,
come
dude.
out.
Docker shorts and
Oh.
brown loafers.
No, that's gonna be Dan the Dad though, and I hate Dan the Dad.
I was gonna say just make him come
that's
out in
true.
his Sacramento zookeeper outfit. Jeez.
Oh, that'd be good.
No.
Yeah, he's here to control the animals. Yeah.
No.
That'd be good
William
stuff.
Regal, I need a new person to protect NXT from this zoo it's become, and then fucking that. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm Brian Fellows.
Oh, I'm
Timothy
Brian
Thatcher.
Fellows.
I'm Timothy Thatcher. Jeremy in time does say, I can't try and justify staying up until midnight Eastern time to watch AEW Rampage. I don't even know if I'm going to watch it. I know. I try to catch stuff on their YouTube clips or their, because they post most of their stuff that they care about, Instagram. But
I'm partial to it because I don't give a fuck that it's CM Punk. Although I did have a friend, and this was not spoiled to me on his Twitter as that match was going on. He said, "Oh, did Amanda say something to somebody?" And I'm like, "Oh yes, you must be beating the shit out of him." Thank you.
yeah, could be. Also, with as much as we've like ragged on CM Punk all the time, 'cause we're not big CM Punk fans, and I don't think he gives a shit if we're fans or not. And
Team
I don't.
Cabana.
I
Sorry.
don't. But I do think that it means an awful lot to the guys who are getting in the ring with him, because these are dream matches for those guys that they never thought would happen. You know what I mean? If you're a young indie wrestler coming up and you thought, oh, I can wrestle CM Punk in the ring, like that's a mind-blowing question to even happen. So for Darby and for Will Hobbs and anyone else, I'm sure this is incredible. So for that fact alone, I want to watch the Hobbs match, because as much as I am a supporter of Will Hobbs, that's going to be a match he's going to remember for his whole life.
You know, and I'll tell you, just, you know, because I know, is I remember when he faced Chris Dickinson, and this is the match that kind of got a lot of eyes on him. He was like, man, he goes, you know, he says, where do you go from here? And I said, there's only one way, you just go up. But if you shit yourself right now, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay. And he brought it, and, you know, and I'm just so, I mean, God, I've been watching him wrestle for like, what year is this? Like almost 7 years, 6-7 years. And it's amazing to me, because there are people that are in my area who are like, why do we even invest in him? Because they're like, he's not that good. And I'm like, he's got potential. He does. He just, there's a couple things that, you know, he needs to work on. And then he did it, and look at him now. And I mean, I'm just like, wow, like that's just amazing to me.
It's fantastic. 100%. Was there anything on either of those shows you guys wanted to talk about or rag on? Anything you thought we missed?
I'm good on my end.
I really enjoyed this conversation about NXT. I like that it was a bit of an argument. I like the fact that I'm liking it and you guys aren't. In the regard of, I think it makes for a more interesting conversation. So I think that I like that the stuff that you are liking and why. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just thought it was really a really interesting conversation that we're not seeing a lot of. A lot of the conversations I see around in the internet wrestling community, as it were, are all super one-sided and think like me or don't talk to me at all. And that's not the nature of what we're doing here. We're buddies having drinks, and it doesn't matter what you're drinking. It's who you're drinking with. Klump and his coffee, Amanda and her slushy wine, me and my spiked iced tea. We're just here to have a good time, talk about wrestling. And the funny bit about the defend of this shit comment really lies in the idea of, I didn't enjoy it, and I'd really like you to give me something to latch onto so I can enjoy it a little bit more. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're just trying to help each other get a little bit more out of each segment. Or if you think you liked this, wait till I tell you this thing about it and turn it up. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I have fun with.
I just think with NXT, there's a couple of things that I kind of got really invested in that I don't know if it's now going to get the axe and we're not going to see it anymore. Yeah. So, for example, the whole Tian Sha thing. Is that getting the boot? What's going on with that? Because it was starting to get really, really good. And, you know, now I'm like, what's going to happen now? So there's that. And obviously with Zoe Stark, I mean, it's been a while since she's wrestled, and I'm been very invested in her, and so that kind of is a little bit of a bummer too.
We wish Tian Sha the best in their future endeavors.
Probably.
Can you imagine that? But Karen Q is fine. Like they don't fire Karen Q.
Well, wait, who's the demon?
Leave Boa alone.
Who was the demon? Was that Tian Sha the demon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that. No one else just have a real fucking name.
Yeah. The regular person just comes out. Because it was like Mei Ling was the character, but Tian Sha was the entity that possessed her. So it's like we've let go Tian Sha, and then she just like comes out normal. It's like, oh god, that was crazy.
That was a weird 18 months. Oh.
Yeah. I'm wearing neon that matches the new colors of NXT 2.0.
Yeah. But I forget. I thought you asked a question too, but yeah, I don't. I think, but also Xia Li got called up, so we'll see. She's been at a lot of the SmackDown tapings and such, but I don't know. I don't know where it all goes, but that to me is what I'm liking about it. Is before it was also very much methodical in a lot of ways, where it was like, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. So what I like is that there's a lot more. It's just more fun to watch. It's more refreshing to watch. You can watch it with a little more ease. So I also get if people are getting to the point where like, oh, this doesn't feel like must watch, can't miss. I don't think I could argue that. I don't. But I'm having a lot of fun watching it at this point. So
yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be back on Sunday for a buyback. It's not quite an episode 1, but it'll be episode 1 of a buyback. We are going to have a watch along for Extreme Rules, me and Bishop, and maybe a guest. We'll see. But we're going to do that this Sunday. We're going to be back next Wednesday for episode 1, followed by Thursday episode 1. And maybe somewhere in the middle of all that, we'll be able to squeeze out some time for me and Amanda and producer to sit down and watch a couple Suzuki matches. Depending on the day, Klump, I'll let you know when we're going to do it. If you are free, happenstance, to watch a couple of Suzuki matches, would you want to do that with us?
I'm in, yeah.
Murder Grandpa Marathon.
Let's do like 2 or 3 matches, so that way producer knows what she's getting into when we go out to GCW.
Oh, well, no. He's fighting Gage.
Yeah.
Producer lady, where are you sitting, first of all?
We got general admission seats. She doesn't ever have
Oh, okay.
On.
You're fine. If you were out in, like, the first couple of rows, Godspeed.
Yeah, bad news. I even said that specifically. Yeah. Do not get any of the seats. Because it was like, there's no way I'm going to a GCW show and going to end up in a lawsuit. So keep me out.
You know, I will tell you, I'll put it back on my Twitter. One of my favorite photos from the first time I went to the White Claw Cultural Center. I was ridiculous. I had a sweatshirt on. I zipped it all the way up. I had goggles that fogged up. I had an Oakland Athletics cheap rain poncho on top of me. And I had made sure didn't wear sandals. And let me tell you, that first light tube that went, I ran like a bitch almost out the door. So
Forget it.
Not my thing.
Thank you for coming through and having a drink with your drinking buddies. I'm at Ref Marsh. That's Miss Amanda Jane. With us, as always, Crybaby Klump. We are at WOTR The Show. This has been another episode 1. Thank you for having a drink here at the dive bar of the IWC. That's the last call.
Y'all have a good night.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink that's less than on the rock.